Yes, yes, yes. How we all doing? That's right. Back for another one. The attic, right? The old the old Bing Bang attic solo deal coming back at you, trying to get it back up there. I know we disappeared. I disappeared. It's a podcast. We disappeared for a couple weeks, and goddamn, you guys give up on the mofo just so quick. Goddamn. I get a little freaking blood bacteria, and it's like, people forget about you. Jesus Christ, no love, but it's all good. It's all good. Like I say, it's more for me, if not as much as for you, right? That's why, you know, I don't, you don't see me with a cash app up in this bitch with smacked all over the screen looking for money. You know what I mean? Like a lot of other places do, or channels, I should say. But anyway, this one, now that I've kind of somewhat got this system down as far as streaming and all this other shit, I'm just gonna start boom. He's dropping clips and like do like reactionary shit and talk off of it if I don't have any set guests or anything like that. There's a lot of stuff I see on YouTube and a lot of clips that open your eyes. Mostly for the good, some for the a little for the bad. Um, but you learn you take something away from each, well, at least I do. I take something away from each clip that I see, that resonates with me, that, hits home. Or if there's a lesson, and this one that I'm gonna share is a combat Marine. I think he went in 1968. Um, and goddamn, this guy, it's like a 12-minute interview with the man. But shit, he sums up Vietnam like I said, in that time, you know. Um, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna speak too much on it. I'm just gonna let it play. Um, and then after that, I have something that's real quick. It's just the bond that was set for the Ohio dad, which you know slaughtered his three sons. Um, that I just stepped over, just came up on it. So I'm gonna shoot that in as well, real quick. Um, all right, so let me get to the combat Marine veteran from Vietnam. This is phenomenal. It's a quick interview, and it's down and dirty. He gets into it, and it pretty much sums up. Even afterwards, if you notice, he says, "Let go, let God," that type of deal. I mean, it sums everything up from A to B, and like, or A to Z, if you want to be completely proper. But here we go. Let's um let's get this going and see what's shaking with this one. All right. So here we go. This is
1968, I was married to Tony Jane. We'd been married for 3 years, had no children because she miscarried. And I got a draft notice from Uncle Sam that I was being drafted into the United States Army. And so at the age of 20, I found myself on a bus going up to Columbia, South Carolina. And we was in a big room full of young men in there that were being drafted, all being drafted. And the sergeant that was there, he says, "Is there any of y'all that would like to go into the Marine Corps?" And myself and a couple other young men raised our hand. A very small, it wasn't that many, but at any rate, the reason that I chose to go into the Marine Corps because my best friend in high school, Dennis Michael from Vacaville, California, was in the Marine Corps and got himself killed in Waste City there in February '68. And so at that time, that's one of the reasons I chose to go into the Marine Corps, raised my hand, because at that time, my immature thinking was, well, I just wanted to go over there and kill the son of a bitch that killed my best friend.
So can you walk me through? So you get there in September '68, is that right?
First day of September '68. Yeah, that's right.
And can you take me through that one more time? So you land and you're already taking rocket fire.
That's within 20 minutes of landing into Da Nang on that commercial airline. We had rocket attacks that was coming in. Everybody's jumping into bunkers. we didn't have guns at that time. And the young man in the bunker at the end of the bunker is making the sign of the cross, and I'm going, how the hell am I supposed to be here 13 months? And I've been here 20.
Now, I don't know if you guys caught that, but he just got off the commercial flight into Da Nang or whatever. And within 20 minutes, he didn't even get his military weapon yet. Within 20 minutes, they were already hitting him with fire and bombs. I mean, and this is a teenage kid here we're talking. Can you imagine that? It's like walking out of Newark Airport off a flight from California, wherever, and within 20 minutes, you're in like a complete gun battle for like your life. I mean, and you don't even have a gun to boot. I mean, what the fuck do you do, man? Jesus Christ, guy. When I hear shit like this, I mean, you can tell this guy's hardcore. But when I hear stuff like this, I think about what the kids today would do. Holy shit. Can you imagine what the kids today would do? Freaking.
That was my awakening. Yeah, I got awoke.
So they put you in dog company in
Delta.
Or Delta company.
Delta.
Yeah, Delta.
Yeah, we called it die in Delta. Yeah.
Delta company.
That's right, Delta.
Okay. And how long is it before you're actually out doing patrols or out?
Well, once you get, in my experience was, I think you'll find quite interesting actually, that when they dropped us off at the helicopter there at Delta Company, the night before, the company had been overrun out there by the VC out there. And there was a young man that was coming back from patrol. This is after all that action had happened. Coming back from patrol, and for this young Marine, and then on his helmet, he's got a scalp. He scalped somebody, and he's got a scalp that he's got on his helmet.
Jeez.
All right. So I got my awakening in Da Nang, and then when I got out to the jungle, I got my welcome to the jungle, Tony. Here you are.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Goddamn movie. You know? Like a movie, if you would say.
Anybody out there that's been under fire by an AK-47, understand what I'm talking to. You hear it today, put the fear of God in you. And if you don't, well, there's something wrong with you, at least from my perspective.
Guy's intense, man.
Yeah. The firefight, it wasn't very, it was like, I can't remember exactly when the first firefight was. I just remember being there like the first couple of nights and not being able to sleep up. You got your weapon, your M16 right there, so you're wide awake, and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Adrenaline. So I don't remember when the first firefight was, but I'll tell you one that you might find interesting. Delta Company, our squad was walking across one of the dikes, and I'm carrying a law at this time, okay, and my M16 law that I have. We get out into the middle of the rice paddy, as all the grunts out there in the Army and the Marine Corps know that when you're out there on that dike, you are vulnerable because you're out in the open. Boom, boom, boom. About halfway out there, we come under that AK-47 fire. Boom, 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 boom. Fall down into the rice paddy. I'm in the water, in the mud. Bullets are all flying around. And I look up into the sky. I remember looking up into the sky, and the sky was all nice and blue. And I said, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for not letting me be dead right now. And then I looked down and saw where the hell I was. I said, well, it ain't over yet. So anyway, that's unfortunately a young Marine at that time did receive a bullet wound that he received directly to his forehead at that time. And only by the grace of God do I sit here telling that story. And may his spirit and all of the rest of them that lost their lives and have suffered to this day, may they find peace.
Wow.
When I was over
Now I'll tell you what, real quick. I changed screens up because did you see the way that man looked in his eye when he told that story when he towards the end talking about the dead Marines? Jesus, man, the intensity in this man's eyes is crazy. Whew, intense. But he sums it all up, you know. So far, it's him coming in the war, right? Being welcome to all that. Freaking, you land, you're getting hit with fire missiles and bombs and everything. Okay, then you get into the jungle. You walk into a guy who's got a scalp on his head. That's a welcoming to the jungle. I mean, it's just like one after another after another.
There. I was this close by stepping on a 155 artillery round. Little dome button, silver. Pressure release, you put your foot on it, it's okay, you take your foot off, you're blown to 1,000 different pieces. The young man behind me, by the name of Warren Brayton, who could sense booby traps, we can call them booby traps back then, who could sense them in the night, and he says to me, Tony, look what you almost stepped on. He called up demolition, blew it up, I could see my guts draped all over the trees out there, in banana trees, like tinsel on a Christmas tree. And a young man that I knew over there, Marine, by the name of Skip By, Robert Anthony By was his name, had the grave misfortune of stepping on a 155 artillery round and went home, as all of y'all people know that are grunts and been there and have done that. You go home in big manila envelopes that they scrape you up in and put you in and take you home. And only by the grace of God that it wasn't myself. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful for
There he
that.
goes again with that intensity.
It was at Liberty Bridge on the 19th day of March in 1969. Delta Company had come out of what we call the bush back to what we call the rear area, where it was battalion headquarters. You got the barbed wire all around you there. You got your tanks, you got your artillery, you got your artillery in there. So the grunts like us, they call it in, and they you know. And so now, when we're out in the bush out there, you know, we're eating out of a tin can. This is before the sea rats, and eating out of a tin cans and that sort of stuff. So, and sleeping on the ground. So, like when we come back to that battalion headquarters, like dying and going to heaven, they had a damn chow hall. They got outhouses that you can sit your ass on, take a dump instead of having to do it out in the damn jungle. Okay, and a chow hall and all of that good stuff. We're back there for, 4, 5, 6 days, something like that, getting some good hot meals and stuff like that. Liberty Bridge. Yeah. Many of y'all out there have been there to Liberty Bridge. You know all about it. Yeah. March 19th, 1969, Delta Company. And so about 2 o'clock at night there, the NVA, regular NVA come in there with Bangalore torpedoes for the first time ever, the whole time I was there, flamethrowers, and the bunker next to us, the Marines in there were killed, burnt to death, and Bangalore torpedoes blowing up the wire coming in there. They had incendiary grenades that they had coming down and throwing the incendiary grenades down the barrels of the howitzers, melt them all up. And they hit us right at about 2 o'clock at night, and this goes on all night long. That this goes on. Maybe at about 5 o'clock in the morning, myself and another Marine pulled a corpsman, a naval corpsman, Doc Hammond, out of a hole there, and he had been shot in the head. And when we pulled him out, his brain matter fell on my foot, and I was barefoot at that time. I took my boots off so they didn't get all bloody and gangrene and that crap. And I remember looking up into the sky and all this shit is going on, and saying, I have got to get the hell out of here.
How close are the enemy getting to you, though, when this is happening?
They did not get as close to me as they did to others. I did not engage in hand-to-hand combat, but I remember after all this was over, about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm tired, I'm hungry, sitting down on the ground, and I'm eating what we call, all you grunts out there know what we call that chocolate bar, call that the shit bar. So I'm sitting there and I'm eating a shit bar, that chocolate chip tastes pretty good too. And about maybe 15 feet away from me is a Viet Cong or NVA, whatever he was, that had been run over by a tank. And when the tank guy was running over him, he goes that little thing like that to twist them all in. So he's down in the ground. And the only thing human that you can discern from this guy was basically his thumb. Everything else was just a big mess. And I'm eating my shit bar. And this is how callous that I had become. I was only 21 years old at that time. But as I'm eating my shit bar and looking at this mangled corpse as someone that was wanted to kill me, I don't blame him. I'm looking, I'm saying, and I'm thinking, I'm glad that's you and not me. That's how callous you got.
Wow.
From my knowledge, I have no direct knowledge of directly killing any enemy at all. Okay. Because the firefights that you have, you got, sometimes everybody's shooting and fighting, you don't know. I just really don't have any idea. So I really have I don't have the memory of somebody's life fading or something like that, Yeah.
Well, yeah. Before we move on from the combat, can we? I want to hear how you were wounded one more time, and because you were hit twice, is that right?
Yes, got a piece of shrapnel that went through my left leg, piece of shrapnel that went into my stomach, had a cerebral concussion by a grenade that went off behind me that was tripped by another young Marine. And
wow.
the grenade, that piece of the piece that hit me over here and this leg over here, hit him in a worse spot directly behind the kneecap. And so we wound up both being in the hospital there in Da Nang at the same time. And it was our great pleasure and blessing and memory for me to have the great actor and military man himself, Officer Jimmy Stewart, that came through with his wife and through the hospital there. And then he comes up to me when I'm laying in the bed and he does that stuttering thing. He goes, where'd you get hit, son? So it was that was a real pleasure to met him. Yeah. My final thought would be more kind of what I was just had been already said about. Hopefully someday we'll be able to rise above all of this. Today, truly, I am blessed with inner joy and inner peace, regardless of the many tragedies that have come to me. And it's a tragedy, all of the Vietnam veterans and the other veterans today that are coming home and commit suicide, lose hope and stuff like that. So,
Right.
just maybe let go, let God, relax, take it easy. And, everything's gonna be all right. Yeah. So anyway, everybody have a nice talking with you and call me. We'll do lunch.
I'll tell you what. He summed it right up there, didn't he, guys? Oh man. He summed it up right there. The end as well. You know what I mean? Jeez. Let go, let God, cool out. Everything will work itself out. That was pretty cool. And for that man, I mean, you could just see on his face the intensity, man. It was just, I mean, that's one intense dude. That is one intense man right there. And you know what I also liked about that? He didn't say, "Oh yeah, I got 46 confirmed kills." When you hear shit like that, okay, that's cool. I get it. You wanna rip off a number or whatever, but like this gentleman said, when you're in a firefight like that, like how do you know if you're even hitting anybody? I mean, you can have 3 kills, or you can have 300. You don't know. I mean, I'm sure you are hitting people if it's like a spray and pray type of deal, and and they're all just tucked in. But you can't really count that unless you're like a sniper, I think. But if you're like a grunt and you're just walking through the desert or the woods, as it be, even the mountains, you can't. Yeah. You're just lying if you say, "Yeah, I got this and I got that." You can't really tell. You can't really tell. So I thought that guy was. I just had to share that. I thought the intensity of that man, like he said, from landing to fighting to the end, was just unreal, and it read all over his face. So, um, now the next one is the one that leads to, um, as we all know, the father in Ohio who murdered his whole family. We talked on it last night, real quick for a little bit on It's a Podcastrophe. I think it was episode 26 with Marcy. Um, we started off with this type of deal, reporting on this story, or I think that was the second report. But here's him getting his bail. Um, I don't know. I don't know how long after, but you can finally see he actually breaks down and shows us some emotion, which is, it's a bunch of horse shit. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like I can't wait for that guy to get killed in prison. I can't wait. You know, Um, it'll happen. Nobody likes that type of stuff when it comes to children, even women to a certain extent. You go to prison, women and children, man. Those guys mean business. You do something, you got something on your paperwork that shows that you hurt a child and or a woman, especially a woman like in a crazy way. Some guys think, bitch had to come and blah blah blah. That's how they say it. You know what I mean? But when it comes to children, there's no excuse. So this guy's gonna get dealt with, no problem, in prison. I just can't wait. I can't wait to read and find out, or see a clip on YouTube and find out how we got dealt with. But I'm sure they're gonna have a blast with this guy. So, but this is him. Last night we weren't sure of his age. Marcy and I guessed mid 30s, early 30s. He's 32. No prior record except for a domestic violence, which was against his father for fighting. Probably some basic teenage son father bullshit. Kind of made me feel in his notes one night. I don't know the story behind the fight, but you know. Uh, I think he was 18 at the time. Anyway, the whole point is he doesn't have a criminal history. He doesn't have anything that shows any kind of signs of stuff except for maybe the domestic violence with his dad, the fight that he got into. But like I said, that could be some teenage bullshit as well. Um, but he worked, he was employed. The house looked nice. It didn't look like they were hurting for money. Uh, which doesn't mean anything, but it's just a something I noticed. Okay. It's just something I noticed. So here, let's listen to the bond set for this guy. This is the highest bond that they ever set, and this is the max I think that he got that you can ever set anybody. So this is where he got, which is great. But you can see it's almost like after they were describing the way he killed the boys. When he hears it, it seems like it's when it kind of like clicked, like, yeah, you know what, I really effed up. I killed my 3 sons. It's strange, but interesting, very interesting. So here we go with this one. This is good. This is his bond set.
Chad Dorman, 2023 CRA 1975. This matter is before the court today for purposes of bond hearing. Mr. Callan, you were here on behalf of Mr. Dorman. Mr. DeCalvi, Mr. Gadd.
That a bond of $75,000 for order conditions will be revoked. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeCalvi.
Now, real quick, it just looks like it's pretty. Maybe the day after the incident. I think it was the next morning. Yeah.
We, at this point, I'm going to let Mr. Gast handle the bond for an hour and a half. Thank you.
Morning, Judge. Good morning. Judge, we've got law enforcement with us here today. Our office has been involved. Lots of people in my office have been involved with law enforcement throughout yesterday, afternoon, and evening, all the way through this morning. And the facts I have for you at this point are as follows. The trauma that this man has inflicted on his family, the community, law enforcement, first responders, and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. Incomprehensible cruelty. The father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle.
Hear this guy.
Their
Blank
ages
stare.
3, 4, and 7, Judge. In an act
Like
of
nobody's home.
desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun. The father was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. To just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world. He was their guardian. And he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission. One of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be our misfortune to see.
And now it's starting to hit him.
To make things even more disturbing, Judge, this was no haphazard act. Again, by his own admission, he planned the act on a whim. He's confessed to what I believe is the worst crime, at least I hope, that I'll see in my lifetime.
There he goes.
I hope it's the worst fact pattern that ever comes before this court. Judge, it's important for the court to know, and Monroe Township Fire and EMS and other first responders bravely respond to the scene where they don't know what's going on. They did not know what they're facing, and they come into a scene that no one can ever be prepared for. No law enforcement training, no training of any kind prepares you for this. It's easy to forget that these are men and women with families, children, feelings, emotions. They're not some automaton performing a delegated function. They're people, 10-year-old children. They held these boys in their arms, knowing there was nothing they could do to save them.
Jesus Christ.
How long do those scars last? What day do you wake up from that? And do you have access to a weapon? Yes, obviously he did. The weight of the evidence against the defendant at this point, Judge, we stand here with a full admission of the defendant. That also goes to the confirmation of the defendant's identity, and witnesses on scene did see at least part of what happened. Next, the court is to consider the likelihood this person would return to court if a bond were issued. Again, this is the most heinous crime with the most severe penalty under the law that we presented to the grand jury. That alone would be a major factor in discouraging a person from availing themselves to this court or any other. And the thought to flee and the likelihood of flight is great in the state's opinion. The danger he poses to the community is a factor that this court can consider, and I think with the facts in front of you, Judge, we can't name a person that poses a greater threat to the community. As his prior record goes, Judge, it is fairly minimal. He was charged with domestic violence in 2010. He is not, to my knowledge, on probation committee control. Judge, the facts of this case are hopefully like no other we will ever see. When this case gets indicted in the Court of Common Pleas, I am certain that a no bond hearing will be held, and I would hope that would be granted. But at this point, this juncture, we're going to ask this court to issue a bond we've never asked for before. I'm going to ask for a bond of $20 million. I hope I never need to request such a bond again.
That's
Thank
high
you.
bond.
Date for preliminary hearing?
The date for the preliminary hearing, Judge, is 6/26.
No objection, Your Honor.
The preliminary hearing will be set for June 26th at 1 p.m. At this point in time, bond's going to be set in the amount of 20 million cash or surety.
Look at
Anything
that.
else at this time, Mr. Gast?
No, Judge.
Mr. Cal? Mr. Cal, anything further?
Nothing at this
All
time.
right, thank you.
I don't know what he tried to say there, but obviously nobody gave a shit anyway. I mean, the man shouldn't even be allowed to speak anyway. So, wow. So $20 million bail set for the guy in Ohio, killed his three sons, and only the sons. Didn't kill the stepdaughter, didn't kill the mother, just shot her through the hand, which was a defensive wound on her for trying to rescue the boy. So there's two clips right there, man. Like I said, it was it's the Vietnam guy was just intense. And I love the way he summed everything up basically like in a quick sit down, you know. Didn't need no 2-hour story for that. He pretty much broke it down, you know. And you got this other punk, this guy, you know, like I said, I can't wait to read about him getting dealt with in prison. I can't wait. So it should be fun. So there you go. There's a quick one, real quick. I just wanted to get something out, you know, and do something today. I feel like I need to do something. I don't know. Maybe I might even do something again tonight and, you know, just have fun. I'm bored. Not much going on. Waiting for the sun to go down so I can take the bike out for a ride and relax. So until then, I'm just gonna do some playing around. All right, people. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the case, or if you guys know of any other case. I mean, there's another one, the Tracy Ship House or Ship Bomb. One of them, something like that. Who dismembered her boyfriend. That's a crazy one. I've been seeing stuff on that as well. I don't know if I want to speak on it too much, but you know, maybe I will in the future. So all right, guys, like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it, and I'll check you guys next time. Thank you.